They told her it was impossible. Even the seasoned SEAL beside her whispered the warning like a sacred rule. No one hunts snipers at night. It's not out here. But she stared into the black horizon, feeling the cold wind sting her cheeks, the taste of dust clinging to her tongue. Somewhere out in that darkness, 9 trained enemies waited silent, invisible, patient. Fear slid down her spine, sharp and cold. But deeper still, something stronger stirred. A refusal to let her team die because everyone else thought it couldn't be done. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who is listening. She steadied her breathing, letting her heartbeat settle into the rhythm she had mastered long ago. She wasn't fearless, no. One hunts snipers without feeling fear. She had learned to walk with it, hold it like a companion that sharpened her senses instead of dulling them. The night pressed on her skin like a weight. The desert stretched silent, moonlight barely touching the jagged rocks ahead. Behind her, whispers floated among the team, worry, doubt, one quiet prayer. She heard everything, even the subtle tremble in the youngest recruit's voice. And she remembered being him, terrified, inexperienced, trying to hide the shaking in her hands. That memory grounded her, reminded her why she stepped forward now. The SEAL who had warned her recalled her watch with a mixture of concern and reluctant respect. "You don't need to do this alone," he murmured. She looked at him, and her voice came out low, steady. "If I don't, none of us see sunrise." He didn't argue. The silence between them said everything. She began her descent into the darkness. Each step was deliberate, weightless, sinking into the soft sand without a sound. The wind carried whispers across the ground, trickling grains, an owl shifting on a distant ledge. She let those tiny details guide her, mapping the night through sound instead of sight. Her thoughts flickered back to training. How many nights she had been told she wasn't strong enough, not fast enough, not ruthless enough. And yet she had endured. Not for pride, not for validation, but because she believed in protecting the people who had never believed in her. That contradiction had shaped her into someone who could stand where others shrank. As she reached the first ridge, a faint metallic click cut through the air, sniper adjusting his scope. She froze, her muscles tightened like pulled wire. She dropped low, sliding behind a jagged rock. A breath, a heartbeat. She rose slowly, aimed and exhaled. One down, the darkness shifted. The enemy team whispered urgently among themselves. They didn't expect a counterattack, not at night, not by one person. She moved again, weaving through shadows like they belonged to her. The moon slipped behind a cloud, plunging everything into deeper black. Her fingers brushed the cold metal of her rifle, the textured grip grounding her, reminding her she was not powerless here. She climbed the ridge, body pressed low, careful not to dislodge a single stone. A second sniper lay prone on a ledge. His breath fogged slightly in the cold. She felt a flicker of pity. He had no idea she was already behind him. But pity had no place now. She took the shot silently. 2. The third came quickly after, his silhouette barely visible against a cluster of rocks. He turned too late. 3. Somewhere behind her, Calder whispered to the team, "She's doing it. God, she's actually doing it." The fourth and fifth were hiding together, communicating through faint clicks. She listened, deciphering their pattern. When one shifted to left flank, she struck. When the second lunged for cover, she dropped him before he touched the ground. 4, 5. Her breath grew heavier now. Fear had crawled up her spine again, but now it mingled with resolve. Her hands trembled for the first time. She clenched them briefly, reminding herself that trembling meant she still cared. It meant she wasn't numb. It meant she wasn't lost. The sixth sniper almost caught her off guard. The shot cracked the rock inches from her shoulder. She rolled, gravel biting into her skin, lungs burning. The moral weight hit her in a flash. Was she becoming too much like the enemies she hunted? But the thought passed when she remembered the faces of her team waiting behind her. People worth saving. People who still had futures. She steadied herself and ended the threat. 6. The final 3 had formed a tight triangle formation, guarding each other. Smart, professional, deadly. She paused, heart hammering, calculating angles, timing her odds. There was no way to take them fast enough before one shot back, unless she moved first, unless she trusted her training more than her fear. The desert wind roared softly, as if urging her forward. She inhaled deeply. Then she surged across the ground, faster than shadows, sliding behind a rock. She popped up. One shot, drop, pivot, another down. The third spun, firing wildly. She lunged low, rolled, fired. Silence. 9. The world stopped. The desert breathed again. When she returned to the team, dawn was brushing pale gold across the sky. Calder stepped toward her slowly, eyes wide with something between admiration and disbelief. The youngest recruit stared at her like she was a myth brought to life. She didn't brag. She didn't smile. She simply said, "We're safe now." Because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back. And as the first rays of sunrise warmed the rocks, she knew the night would never define her only, the courage she carried through it. If this story inspired you, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Whispered Words for more heroic mission tales. Your support keeps these stories alive. Click subscribe. Your next story is waiting in the shadows.